Corporate Insight recorded this webinar during the second quarter of 2020 to assess client communications in the age of COVID-19. Our panelists include Corporate Insight's President, Michael Ellison, the CEO and Chairman of RF Binder, Amy Binder, and Andy Seibert, a Managing Partner at Imprint. We discussed company communication strategies during COVID-19, how to lead with purpose in uncertain times of crisis, and how the pandemic will impact companies and people moving forward.
We've been tracking, as part of our research, we have accounts across the industry in a number of different verticals, and we have a large panel that sends us their communications that we're receiving. So we've been logging and tracking that information as it particularly relates to COVID over the past several weeks and a couple months. And we've analyzed over 1,000 pieces of communication. And what's interesting is we've received most from the banks, followed by P&C, investing, and retirement. And email, obviously, is a dominant form of communication. When it comes to thematic areas, overall, across all the verticals, it's relief and charity, as well as service interruptions and security, fraud warnings, market and investing advice, leadership communication. How do you, as business owner, as leaders, how do you lead through this environment? And we'll touch on that later as well. And then health and wellness as well. You can see from a timing standpoint, actually in May, it's really started to dip. And these are specific, again, things related specifically to COVID.
Even before COVID, 78% of Americans believe that companies should take actions on important issues facing society. And 52% of business leaders reported that purpose is a strong link to customer loyalty. Over and during COVID, and I think it's going to continue post-COVID, this is even more important than ever. Customers are really looking at how companies are treating their employees. 86% of the people want to see that you're helping the community. 84% want to see how companies are treating employees with empathy and flexibility. And then there's a focus on adding value. 72% of people say that. So I think it's important that when you think about communications and you think about the actions you're taking, that they're authentic to your brand, that they're building trust and equity on company vision, the mission, the purpose, and the values. And all your decision-making should really go through this lens at this time, even as we continue to evolve in terms of where we are towards COVID-19.
Clients right now have been in this crisis phase, crisis communication. The customers are having sort of uncertainty. We've seen with the banks, Mike, your stats were great, right? It's almost like when things were peaking in April and then sort of dropped off in May. Hopefully that's because their customers have moved to a different need and a different stage, right? So while our clients were busy sort of managing crisis communications, we were talking to them about what are the emotional and rational questions that your customers are going to have when we come out of crisis, when they come out of crisis and into this sort of recovery stage. And they start to emerge with this sort of cautious pragmatism. You need to have that content ready and think ahead so that when they come out, you've got that content ready to send them, ready that when they search or come to your site, it's there. That's how you're going to build impact and long-term loyalty with these clients.
9/11, we were worried about safety. Those of us who were sitting in New York and even anywhere in the country. In the Great Recession of 2008, we were worried about economic security. We're now in a time where we are concerned about safety, security, our health, whether or not we're going to be okay economically. It is taking all of those issues and combining them together, and there is no end in sight. 9/11 happened, and then it was over. The dot-com crash happened. It may have lasted a year, but it happened, and then it was over. We don't know when this is going to be over. So the combination of having so many factors evolving over time and then the uncertainty of when it will be over, I think is making communications much, much more complicated and much more difficult. So it's really a unique situation that I suspect very few people will ever experience again in their lifetime.
Leading up to this, we had looked at 5 industries, Mike, that you had collected communications on. And then we did sort of a look across those, and, banking, investing, retirement, healthcare, insurance. Those are the 5. And we then sort of said, okay, what do these have in common across the industries and what is sort of the best of? And there's a theme here, right? So there's a theme that Amy has been talking about, which is the best communications really led with empathy, right? There was this human kind of speaking directly to human, acknowledging their journey, providing very like a relatable tone.
What companies really need to do is to be listening, hearing, figuring out how they can be innovative with new products and services, and then communicating, being sensitive to what's going on in that moment. Because I can promise you that what is going on in August is going to be vastly different than December, and it's going to be vastly different than next March. We're not just going to get to a place, because this thing is going to keep evolving. And so it's that sensitivity to listening and changing and evolving your message as you go. And yeah, we'll get to a point in this reimagine period where people will feel more comfortable thinking about things that they don't feel comfortable right now. But again, it's all going to be evolving, and listening and being flexible and innovative is going to be the most important things that a company can incorporate into their culture.
Customers want to hear from brands. So that wasn't a surprise, but I think it's reassuring for brands to remember to communicate and communicate well, but they do want to hear from you. The race to digital is a lesson learned that I think companies are going to come out of this with, and consumers as well, but it's all about digital now. And then the third part of that is you need clean data. So our clients, if we're going to do personalized messaging and communication, which is really kind of the future, we need the data in order to identify who's who, what are preferences, and then what content to deliver.
Agree. I think the digital transformation, and it's something we've been immersed in for a number of years, obviously, but from the end user perspective. And I think a lot of our clients were taken off guard from their internal digital transformation. All of a sudden, even you look at commercial banking, all of a sudden you've got CFOs who need to, manage the commercial banking relationship from home. Are the digital platforms up to speed? So I think it's firms need to reimagine the entire end-to-end digital experience.
Doing all the things you should. You're leading with purpose. You're being empathetic. You're responding, offering resources. But recognize that different parts of the country need to be spoken to differently because different things are happening. And recognize that, again, things are going to have to evolve. You're not going to just get to a place. We're not just going to go back to work. So I think flexibility and innovation is going to be really as important going forward as it has been up till now.
Thank you for watching this webinar and to our panelists for sharing their analysis. To find out more about Corporate Insights research, contact us via the information on screen and visit our website at corporateinsight.com.